22. Here it is! The Washington Nationals are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
And they are going to be celebrating for a while. It has to be an exciting morning in Washington, D.C.
You can bet. The Nats took down the Astros 6-2 in Game 7 last night. This is kind of cool. This is the first World Series where they went 7 games without the home team winning once. Unbelievable, and a huge congrats to the Nats. Sorry to all the Astros out there.
I know, right? Well, they already had their win in 2015, so all right. So it's Halloween. Happy Halloween. As you're waking up this morning, though, the weather is anything but a treat. We have really a lot of everything.
Yeah, you're going to want to grab your coat, and you're going to want to be careful on the roads. Caitlin, we are dealing with rain and cold and fog and wind.
Thank you for listing all of those off. We've got a little bit of a mixed bag as far as the forecast goes today. Lots of changes throughout the day, so everybody's going to want to listen up to this. First, starting our day with this very spooky spiderweb picture. Thanks to Matthew Brooks for sending that one in. Here's a look at all of your weather headlines, and there's a lot to get to here. Rainy start, then drying out after lunchtime, so that's good news for the trick-or-treaters, but it is going to be very cold and very windy. We could see wind gusts in excess of 35 to 40 miles per hour later today. That's going to make those cold temperatures feel even colder. Freeze warning tonight into Friday as well. Now, here's the rain that's falling across Kentucky and right now streaming in over the last couple of hours, so grab the rain gear as you head out the door. You will need it through at least the first half of today. Here's a look at lunchtime. Rain starting to push out to the east. Check those temperatures. We could be in the 40s by lunchtime. We are in the 50s and 60s right now. We are going to see some cool air rush in behind that cold front. So cool, in fact, some folks in southern Indiana may see a brief switch over to a little sleet or even a snow flurry. It's going to be brief. If you do see one, consider yourself lucky because that moisture gets out of here. Temperatures continue to fall. As we head into those trick-or-treating hours, we will be in the 30s. We're already starting to see the temperatures drop. Notice the difference here. Upper 40s to mid-60s. The blue area here off to the north and west, that's where all of those cool temperatures are coming from. And that downward trend here with our temperature outlook for today. Rain chances going down, but so are our temperatures. For the trick-or-treaters later tonight, I mentioned 30s. It's going to feel even colder than this, so make sure you bundle them up. We'll talk more about that Halloween forecast coming up in just a few minutes. For now, have to get a check on the roadways this morning. Taking a look at our mobile traffic tracker, things are looking pretty good out there so far. No major issues to report. Here's a look at some of our cameras. You can see the roads are wet, and we do have some foggy areas still downtown. I-65 at Crittenden, light volume of traffic in both directions there. A look at I-64 at Melwood. Looks okay, but obviously you can tell the roads are wet. And anytime we get some rain here in Kentucky and in time for that morning commute, things can get a little bit iffy. 264 at Taylorsville Road, obviously some cars there on the Waterson as well. Drive times 265 into downtown. So far still in the green. Just be careful as you head out the door this morning, guys.
Caitlin, thank you. On to a big development. Churchill just announced a massive plan to its layout that includes a new hotel that's going to just overlook the track.
This is big news, so let's take a look at what it's expected to look like. So this, you can see it resembles the track. It'll have nearly 160 hotel rooms as well as a 27,000 square foot ballroom and a historical racing machine gaming floor. This is only one of the projects, too.
It's huge, and we have Brooke out live at Churchill this morning. And while the plans still need final approval, it seems like neighbors are on board, Brooke?
Yeah, we spoke to a lot of neighbors last night, even just a couple this morning who drove up on us, and it's a little bit of a mixed bag. I'd say more so the reaction has been very positive. People are excited and say this is a project that they've been waiting for with this hotel that'll essentially be feet from their front yard where the fence lines this neighborhood off of Wizard Drive. Now that the 7-story hotel will go up near the first turn here at Churchill, replacing that temporary corporate village. In addition to the hotel, Churchill will also be renovating Millionaires Row. The completion date for all of these projects is about 2 years from now. Now, in the past, construction in this neighborhood has made people who live here somewhat angry, especially over the concern that Churchill was trying to maybe buy out homes. But after last night's announcement, we heard a different story.
Yeah, let's do it. Do it. I'm game for it. It makes our city better, maybe make our livelihood even better. You know, I'm all for it.
Now, the project also includes 5,500 new reserved seating options for the Oaks and Kentucky Derby. Churchill Downs expects the projects to bring in about 300 jobs. Now, they are still waiting for final approval from the Kentucky Tourism Development Finance Authority. But again, if all is well with that, if it passes, they are expecting the construction to start heading in here at Churchill by this December, with the completion date scheduled for 2021. Guys.
A lot coming to that neighborhood. Thanks, Brooke. Another big story this morning. Police are looking into a shooting that hurt 3 people.
It happened last night around 8 on South 4th Street. So we're going to show you what the scene looked like out there. You can see the police lights, the police cars outside that gas station. Police say they found 3 people shot at the scene. They were taken to the hospital, and all of them are expected to be okay. But right now, police do not have any suspects.
A Louisville family is suing LMPD, saying that they were held at gunpoint during a botched drug raid. The lawsuit says that last October, about 14 LMPD officers and a SWAT team raided their home with guns, breaking down the front door. Body camera video right here shows what it looked like just after. The family's attorney says the officers didn't have probable cause and that the case was based only on a sworn statement with different names than the homeowners. Documents say that an officer thought he smelled marijuana coming from that house twice before they raided it. We reached out to LMPD, but they don't talk about cases while they're happening.
A man from Oldham County, Oria Dugala, he's on your screen right now. He's charged with accidentally shooting his neighbor in the head, sending her to the hospital. As we reported earlier this week, he had been target practicing in his yard on Cedar Circle Monday night, firing off multiple rounds from a .40 caliber handgun. He ended up shooting at a 22-year-old woman. Police say he intentionally moved the target to make it look as if he was shooting in a safe direction. And another problem is that the man didn't have a backstop. Experts say if you're doing target practice in your yard, you need to be careful.
Just because you have a backstop or you have a berm or whatever, all it takes is when you're shooting, bam, and your hand's up here and you pull the trigger inadvertently, it can go anywhere.
Oldham County police say there wasn't any argument involved, just a really unsafe situation. The woman hit was released from the hospital, and the man who police say hit her admitted to police that he had been shooting in the direction of his neighbors.
Just days after the United Auto Workers reached a deal with General Motors to end a strike, the UAW and Ford have reached a tentative agreement. We don't know about the agreement so much yet because they haven't released the terms of it, but what happens now? The UAW Ford National Council is going to look over this plan. Then they're going to send it to Ford employees, who will make a final vote. This Halloween, there's definitely one trick that you don't want to fall for. The Kentucky Department of Agriculture, which regulates gas pumps, found 33 criminal card readers called skimmers in the Commonwealth in the last 3 years. The department found 17 skimmers so far this year, and that's up from just 7 in 2018. Here's how you can protect your money. At the pump, check for signs of tampering, like damage on locks or doors, loose card readers, broken security tape on pumps, and anything that looks different from the rest of the pumps at the station. Today, the House of Representatives is expected to vote on the next steps of the impeachment inquiry against President Trump. We're going to show you some video of yesterday where lawmakers were going through what they're going to discuss today. Today's vote will move this process toward a new phase of opening hearings. Testimonies from the past week are bringing in new evidence on the president's phone call with the president of Ukraine about investigating his Democratic political opponent, specifically the Biden family. That's what started all of this in the first place. Democrats are asking former National Security Advisor John Bolton to testify because witnesses think that he was involved in that call too. Bolton's attorney says he's not going to do it voluntarily. Let's get into news by the numbers, starting with a well-deserved send-off for a man who has worked for years with the WHAS Crusade for Children.
Decades. So after 42 years of service to the community and the crusade, Major Joe Bowman celebrated his retirement. You can see him there getting some hugs. Yesterday, people gathered in the meeting hall at PRP headquarters. Major Bowman was part of the Pleasure Ridge Fire Department. He says he's retiring from the fire service, but will continue his lifelong work with the WHAS Crusade for Children.
9 million, that's how many barrels of bourbon are aging in Kentucky right now. That's a first in modern history. And that is 2 barrels, by the way, for every single person in Kentucky. But don't worry, it's not just us drinking it. A big part of that high number comes from tourism. The Kentucky Distillers Association says that tourists made a record 1.4 million distillery stops last year. That's up 370% over the last 10 years. Clearly, some people are thirsty.
And 3,600 square feet. That's how much space is coming to the La Bamba in the Highlands, and it's going to look something like this. Pretty cool. But to get there, the restaurant is going to have to close down for a bit. So it's closing on November 11th and will reopen in April with a new space for La Bamba plus space for new shops.
Nice. Well, we're going to see what goes bump in the night at the Brown Hotel. Don't be scared, though. We're heading to the lobby in just a few minutes.
More on that in just a bit. For now, let's get a check on your Kentucky Lottery jackpots. Mega Millions $118 million, Powerball $140 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, providing over $3 billion in grants and scholarships.